Have you ever felt like you're giving your all in a connection, but getting just crumbs in return? Like you're constantly reaching out, waiting for replies, planning dates, putting in the energy, but he barely meets you halfway. If that sounds familiar, you might be settling for relationship breadcrumbs, tiny scraps of attention that feel just enough to keep you hanging on, but never enough to truly feel valued. And here's the hard truth. A man who values you will never leave you confused. In this video, we're going to expose 4 subtle but damaging behaviors of a man who doesn't truly value you. Some of them may shock you. They're often disguised as normal dating struggles. But when you look closer, they're signs of emotional neglect, detachment, and sometimes even manipulation. If you've ever found yourself rationalizing his actions, overthinking your worth, or lowering your standards just to keep the peace, this isn't just a dating issue. It's a self-worth issue. But here's the good news. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to keep accepting the bare minimum, hoping it turns into something real. So before we dive into the first behavior, I want you to ask yourself one honest question. If I stopped reaching out today, would he even notice? If that stung a little, this video is exactly where you need to be. Let's talk about what it really means when a man doesn't value you and how to stop settling for anything less than you deserve. Let's get into it. Have you ever noticed how some guys only seem to pop up when they need something? Maybe it's a favor, emotional support, validation, or even just someone to talk to when they're bored. But the moment you need something, a listening ear, a bit of support, or even just consistency, they vanish. It's like clockwork. Your phone lights up when he's lonely, when his plans fall through, or when he's having a bad day. And in those moments, he's warm, sweet, and fully present. But the second things are good in his life again, he disappears into the background like you never existed. This is not love. This is convenience. A man who only reaches out when he needs something is not thinking about you. He's thinking about himself. He's not investing in you emotionally. He's keeping you around as a source of comfort, ego boosting, or even just temporary attention until something better comes along. And the worst part is that sometimes he makes it feel like a connection. He might open up to you emotionally or say things that sound meaningful, and that gives you just enough hope to stick around. But look closely. When was the last time he showed up for you unprompted, when there was nothing in it for him? This kind of behavior creates a dangerous dynamic. You start walking on eggshells, waiting for those small moments of attention like they're everything. You feel confused, sometimes even grateful when he texts back. Because deep down, you know he's inconsistent. That confusion is emotional manipulation, even if it's unintentional. And here's the scary part. The more you allow, the more it becomes your new normal. You get used to the inconsistency. You make excuses for it. You start telling yourself things like, he's just busy, or he's not good at texting, or he's going through a lot right now, and sure, life gets hectic. But a man who values you will make time, even in chaos. He'll check in, he'll care. Men who only reach out when they need something are not offering you a relationship. They're offering you a role. And that role is often caretaker, emotional dumpster, or filler until something more exciting comes along. You are not meant to be someone's part-time option. You are not a backup plan. And you are certainly not a convenience. It's time to stop romanticizing inconsistency and start recognizing it as what it really is. A red flag. A man who values you will reach out because he wants to know how you are doing, because he misses you, because he's thinking about you, not just because he's bored, lonely, or needs a temporary emotional fix. The more you entertain someone who only contacts you on their terms, the less available you are for someone who will show up on yours. If this feels uncomfortably familiar, don't ignore it. You're not overthinking, you're seeing the truth. And now it's time to act on it. You can talk to him for hours, but somehow it still feels like you don't really know him. You might know his favorite movie, where he went to school, what kind of music he likes, but the moment the conversation veers into anything vulnerable, real, or emotionally layered, he pulls away. Suddenly he gets quiet, changes the subject, jokes it off, or tells you that you're being too deep or too much. That's not a communication style. That's emotional avoidance. When a man avoids emotional depth, it's not just frustrating. It creates a barrier between you and any real intimacy. You're trying to build something genuine, something meaningful, but he's putting up walls where there should be bridges. And here's what's even more confusing. He might still say all the right things. He might flirt, compliment you, even talk about the idea of a relationship. But when you try to talk about how you feel, how he feels, where things are going, he shuts down. He'll say things like, let's not overcomplicate things, or can't we just enjoy the moment? And at first it sounds harmless, maybe even romantic. But over time you start realizing that there's no emotional progress. He's stuck in surface level connection and he's keeping you stuck there too. This kind of man may not even realize he's doing it. For some it comes from fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of being hurt, fear of commitment. But regardless of the reason, the result is always the same. You're the one doing all the emotional heavy lifting. You initiate the deep talk, you open up, you try to be honest, and all you get back is distance, deflection, or discomfort. The danger here is subtle, but powerful, because it doesn't feel like outright rejection. It feels like almost there, almost ready, almost open. So you keep giving more of yourself, hoping that one day he'll feel safe enough to meet you in that emotional space. But he never does. And in the meantime, you're left feeling emotionally starved in a connection that looks fine on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. It's like trying to build a house on sand. No matter how beautiful it looks for a while, it's not grounded in anything real, because emotional intimacy is the foundation of a lasting connection. Without it, all you have is performance, not partnership. Sometimes the worst heartbreak doesn't come from someone leaving. It comes from someone staying in your life, but never fully showing up. You feel their absence, even when they're right next to you. You laugh together, but something's missing. You share space, but not souls. You start questioning yourself. Am I asking for too much? Is it my fault he doesn't open up? Maybe I should just give it more time. No. Wanting emotional depth isn't asking too much. It's the bare minimum for real connection. You deserve someone who's not afraid to talk about the hard stuff. Someone who leans in when things get real, not out. Someone who listens when you share your heart and isn't afraid to share his too. Because a man who values you will want to know you, not just date the version of you that keeps things light and easy. He'll want to understand what makes you feel safe, what keeps you up at night, what you've been through, and what you dream about. Avoidance isn't mystery, it's avoidance. And it doesn't lead to love, it leads to loneliness in a relationship that looks alive but feels emotionally dead. Don't settle for shallow waters when you were made for deep connection. You deserve more than halfway love. You deserve someone who meets you at your depth. Let's be honest, there's nothing worse than feeling like you're chasing someone who barely notices you're trying. You're the one who texts first. You're the one making plans, checking in, keeping the conversation going. If you didn't reach out, days, maybe even weeks, would go by without a word from him. And the silence, it's not accidental, it's a pattern. One you've started to notice, and one that's slowly draining you. At first, you might convince yourself it's not a big deal. He's just busy. Maybe he's not a phone person. I'll give it time. But let's be clear, when someone wants to talk to you, they make it happen. They don't forget to reach out to someone they're genuinely excited about. They don't wait until you check in just to say, oh, hey, I was just about to text you. Were they? You might think you're being patient. You might tell yourself you're just showing interest, being open, keeping the connection alive. But when one person is doing all the initiating, it stops being connection and starts becoming one-sided effort. And here's where it gets heavy. When you're the one always reaching out, you start to equate effort with worth. You start believing that if you just try harder, he'll show up more. That maybe if you say the right thing or make yourself more available or play it a little cooler next time, he'll finally give you the attention you're craving. But the truth, you're not being too much. You're just with someone doing too little. Real interest is consistent. It looks like someone who thinks of you in the middle of their day and sends a quick message just to check in. It looks like someone asking, how was your morning, without needing a reason. It looks like mutual effort, not one person doing all the emotional labor. When a man values you, you won't have to question whether you're the only one keeping the relationship afloat. You won't be stuck wondering, if I don't message him, will I even hear from him at all? That's not love. That's emotional neglect wrapped in the disguise of laid back or low maintenance. And this is where a lot of women get trapped. You start minimizing your needs so you don't come off as needy. You give more because you're afraid of what it might mean if you stop. You try to be chill, even though your heart is aching, to feel pursued. But love should never feel like you're constantly convincing someone to care. Effort is attractive. Initiative is sexy. And you deserve to be with someone who makes you feel wanted, not tolerated. Ask yourself this: if you stop texting him today, how long would it take for him to notice? If the answer is anything other than right away, then it's time to reevaluate the dynamic. Because no matter how good the chemistry is, or how much potential you think the relationship has, if he's not matching your energy, he's showing you exactly where you stand. You deserve mutual energy, mutual effort, mutual excitement. Love is not one person clapping with one hand. It's a rhythm. Two people showing up consistently, choosing each other, investing together. Stop initiating for someone who's not even meeting you halfway. You are not hard to love. You're just giving your energy to someone who isn't ready or willing to receive it. And that's not your burden to carry anymore. There's a moment, maybe subtle, maybe obvious, when you realize he doesn't take your time or your boundaries seriously. He cancels last minute, shows up late without apology, makes plans and forgets them. Or worse, expects you to be available on his schedule whenever it suits him. And if you speak up, he tells you you're overreacting or being dramatic. That's not miscommunication. That's disrespect. When a man truly values you, he respects not only your presence in his life, but also your time, energy, and emotional limits. He understands that you're not just there, you're choosing to show up for him, and that choice deserves consistency and care. But when he repeatedly disrespects your time by ghosting, rescheduling without notice, or expecting you to bend to his plans, he's showing you exactly how much or how little he values your space in his world. The same goes for your boundaries. Maybe you said, I don't feel comfortable with that, or I need a little space, or I want to take things slow. And instead of respecting that, he pushes. Maybe gently, maybe subtly, but he pushes. He turns your clear lines into negotiation points. He guilt trips you or acts confused when you enforce them. He makes you feel like setting boundaries is being difficult, instead of what it actually is, an act of self-respect. When your boundaries are met with resistance instead of respect, pay attention. That's not a man who's trying to understand you. That's someone who's trying to control the terms of the relationship to benefit himself. And over time, this wears you down. You start adjusting yourself, making excuses, compromising your own standards just to keep the peace. You tell yourself, it's not that big of a deal, or he probably didn't mean it like that. But deep down, a part of you knows, every time you silence yourself to keep him comfortable, you're betraying your own voice. Disrespect rarely shows up all at once. It creeps in slowly. It starts with the little things, a few ignored texts, forgotten plans, brushing off your concerns. And before you know it, you're in a relationship where your needs don't matter unless they align with his. But here's the truth. Your time is valuable. Your energy is sacred. And your boundaries are not optional. They are not a test. They are the standard. If someone can't meet you there, that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their readiness. A man who values you will protect your boundaries, not press against them. He'll be aware of your time and treat it like it matters, because it does. He won't flake. He won't test limits. He won't make you feel like you're asking for too much just by asking to be respected. The most powerful thing you can do in situations like this is hold your line. When someone shows disregard for your boundaries, don't shrink, stand taller. When he disrespects your time, don't chase, step back. The right man will never make you beg for basic decency. He'll give it freely because he understands that respect is the foundation of every real connection. So if you're constantly feeling dismissed, disregarded, or depleted, it's time to ask yourself, am I in a relationship or am I in a cycle of being disrespected? Because love without respect isn't love. It's control, convenience, or confusion. And you deserve none of that. You deserve someone who values every part of you, your mind, your time, your heart, and your boundaries. Every single one. So you're watching this and realizing, maybe painfully, that you've experienced all of these behaviors, or maybe even just one or two, but it still hit a nerve. It's okay. Let's start there with honesty, because recognizing the signs is not a weakness. It's your breakthrough moment. Awareness is painful at first, but it's the most powerful gift you can give yourself. Because once you see clearly, you can never unsee. You can no longer pretend the bare minimum is enough. You can't keep telling yourself that his inconsistency is just his personality, or that you're too emotional for wanting clarity and respect. So what do you do next? First, you stop negotiating with red flags. If someone consistently shows you they don't value your time, your energy, or your boundaries, believe them. Don't wait for more proof. Don't wait for the next disappointment to finally confirm your gut feeling. You've seen enough. Next, reclaim your power by taking a step back. This doesn't mean you need to ghost or lash out. It means you create space, emotionally, mentally, physically, to protect your peace. Stop initiating. Stop over-explaining. Stop bending your boundaries just to maintain a connection that only exists when you water it. The silence you fear might actually give you the clarity you need. If he notices your absence and steps up, that's information. If he doesn't notice at all, that's even more powerful information. Don't chase. Observe. Then reflect on what these behaviors have cost you. Your peace, your confidence, your joy, your sense of self-worth. Start journaling it out. Write down what you've tolerated, what you excused, and most importantly, what you're no longer willing to accept. When you document the emotional impact, it becomes very hard to romanticize it later. After that, realign with your standards. Not your fear of being alone, not your longing for potential, your standards. What do you really want in a partner? What kind of relationship do you want to build? And are you willing to walk away from anyone who doesn't align with that, even if it's painful in the short term? Because here's the truth, letting go hurts, but staying in a cycle that slowly erodes your self-esteem will hurt you longer. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, friends who remind you of your worth, content that feeds your strength, not your doubt. Watch videos, listen to podcasts, read books, anything that reminds you of the love you deserve, not the love you've been settling for. And if you're still tempted to go back, if there's a part of you that wants to wait just a little longer, hoping things will change, ask yourself, how many chances would you give a friend who made you feel this small? And if the answer is different from what you're giving this man, it's time to choose yourself. You are not hard to love. You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person to meet your emotional needs. And deep down, you already know that. So if this video woke something up in you, let it stay awake. Let it push you to stop settling. Let it remind you that real love feels safe. It feels clear. It feels consistent. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to guess. The first step to healing is choosing you again and again until it becomes second nature, until it no longer feels brave, just normal. And one day soon, you'll look back and realize walking away wasn't weakness. It was the moment you remembered your worth. If you've made it this far, let me tell you something that you might not hear enough. You are brave. Brave for sitting with the truth. Brave for facing your patterns. Brave for listening to the part of you that knows you deserve more, even if you haven't fully acted on it yet. Because choosing you over confusion, that's not easy, but it is life-changing. You see, confusion in a relationship isn't just a feeling, it's a message. When someone values you, you won't be stuck guessing what they feel, what they want, or where you stand. Love isn't a riddle. It's not a puzzle you're supposed to solve by overthinking every text or decoding every shift in mood. That kind of love isn't love, it's emotional chaos, and it slowly chips away at your confidence, your peace, and your joy. But the moment you say, I've had enough, something shifts. You start choosing clarity, not crumbs. Peace, not panic. Self-worth, not self-sacrifice. You realize that being alone isn't nearly as painful as being with someone who makes you feel alone in a relationship. Choosing you means setting boundaries without guilt. It means walking away from people who can't show up consistently, even if they're charming, attractive, or full of potential. It means deciding that your heart is not a playground for someone else's confusion. And here's the thing, choosing you doesn't mean you're bitter, guarded, or closed off. It means you finally recognize the difference between connection and chaos, between being pursued and being pacified, between someone genuinely wanting to build with you and someone just enjoying the benefits of you while offering nothing solid in return. When you choose you, you stop begging for clarity because you become your own source of it. You don't chase closure because you learn that self-respect is closure. You stop making excuses for behavior that doesn't align with the love you know you're worthy of. And that's when everything begins to shift. Because the right people, the ones who see your heart, your depth, your magic, they'll never keep you confused. They won't make you prove your value. They won't run when things get real. They'll meet you with the same energy, the same effort, the same respect, because they're ready to. But it all begins with you showing up for yourself, saying no more, drawing that line, choosing peace over potential, choosing alignment over attention, choosing truth over temporary comfort. And listen, it's okay if this journey takes time. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel empowered, other days you'll want to reach back out. But every time you choose yourself, even in the smallest way, you're rewriting your story. You're showing the universe what you're no longer available for. You're clearing space for the love that actually sees and respects all of you. So if no one has told you lately, you are enough as you are right now. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to settle. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone who can't see it. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to expect more. And you are allowed to walk away from anything that leaves you feeling like you're not enough. Because real love never lives in confusion. It lives in clarity, in mutual effort, in honesty, in respect, in peace. So here's your reminder. Choose you. Choose you boldly, consistently, unapologetically. Not just today, but every single time someone asked you to betray yourself, just to stay connected. That's the real glow up. That's the love story worth writing. Before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final reminder. One that too many women forget when they've been worn down by inconsistent love, mixed signals and emotional neglect. You deserve more. You deserve more than someone who only shows up when it's convenient. More than late replies and cancelled plans. More than the constant wondering, is it me? More than bare minimum effort dressed up as love. And never forget, the more you honor your worth, the more you attract people who will too. The love you deserve isn't confusing. It's calm, it's clear, it's consistent. So don't settle for almost. Don't settle for sometimes, because my love, you deserve so much more. And it's coming as soon as you stop accepting less.